Okay, what I want to do is kind of give you a quick tour. I've been a fan of language ever since I was a high school kid. And I still study language in all of its aspects. It's the way we communicate. And what's happened recently is pretty interesting. When we started talking to each other, people guess maybe 50 to 70,000 years ago, it took a long time before we actually got down to a few languages. There are still 600 spoken languages. But and you might ask, wait a minute, what is a language? Well, I'm a fan of John McWhorter, who's at Columbia. And John says it's pretty easy to distinguish a dialect from a language. A dialect that has an army and a navy is a language. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at some language. See if we get this working. Okay, what is artificial intelligence? That's the first thing we're going to look at. Next thing is we're going to look at how does it do what it does so well. It does it amazingly well. Then we're going to look at creators. If you think about ChatGPT, G stands for generative, which means it creates stuff. We'll look at some of those creations. We're going to look at some cautions, which are many and quite serious. We're also then going to encourage you to go home and start using AI. There's a reason for that. And I'll give you the reason when we get there. And then finally, there are some ethical, legal issues. We'll work through all of those. So first of all, what is it? It's a simulation. It's a machine trying to simulate a human being and the human being's intelligence. We'll look at that a little more closely. But typically, you'd be amazed at how human these AIs sound when you start chatting with them. It's pretty scary. The thing to remember, however, is they are not conscious. They are not aware. They are not sentient. Yet. We don't know when that'll happen. Okay, how does it do what it does? They're called large language models. And that reason is they have been poured almost all of human knowledge into them. Encyclopedias, in some cases the entire web, everything that they could find was put in there. And these AIs then analyze that for associational probability. That's a big word. But basically what goes with what? And so what we're going to do here is they sound or seem or type like human beings. All right, November 2022. I said language first came in 50, 70,000 years ago. It took tens of thousands of years before everybody was using it. The Neanderthals never did pick it up. The next big thing was writing. Writing came in just a little bit BC, and it started just so they could do barrel counts. But eventually it moved into what we now call literature. That took centuries. Then Gutenberg came along with his printing press, and it took, again, centuries, because nobody knew how to read. They first had to learn how to read so they could read the printed word. The next thing that came along was the internet and the web, computers, radio, television, all that happened the last century. And what, in every case there, including the internet and the web, it took 10, 20 years for everybody to get on board. When ChatGPT came out in November 2022, 2 months later there were 100 million users. You don't need to know anything new to use AI. It's just like typing into Google or talking to Google, except it's smarter. At first there was text. I asked ChatGPT to have Moses of the Old Testament tell me how to wash my car.
How do thy implements and fill thy bucket with water, as if from the Nile? With thy chariot with water, cleansing it of dust and debris, just as the Red Sea parted before the Israelites. Take the sponge in hand and with reverence, lather the vehicle with the soapy water, purifying it of grime and blemishes. As the heavens rain upon the earth, let the water from thy hose rain upon thy chariot, washing away the suds and impurities. Stand back and behold the gleaming chariot before thee, for in thy toil thou hast honored thy vehicle and thyself. Bless thy chariot and offer a prayer of gratitude for thy chariot, that it may serve thee faithfully and endure the trials of the road. With thy chariot cleansed and sanctified, go forth into the world with pride, knowing thou hast fulfilled thy duty as steward of thy vehicle.
Scott, your sermon's done for next week.
You may have noticed I'm wearing
Next week,
DALL-E was the next thing that came out of OpenAI. And DALL-E was text to image. You give it text, it would come back with a picture. And a few examples there. You probably didn't know that dogs could be on high pirate ships, or we could do the Three Blind Mice. Nice rendering of San Francisco in a very futuristic way. But this one amazes me, that you didn't know that the Mona Lisa had a tattoo on her leg and used a laptop near her RV. This is by giving the AI text. You ask the AI, give me a picture of this. Well, obviously, if pictures were something, the next thing came music. A project in Germany started the Beethoven 10th project. The X means 10th in Latin. And this was to compose Beethoven's 10th symphony, which he did not do. He left a few notes, but he didn't do it. And here's what the AI produced. Not only did it write the symphony, it scored every section. So every section in the orchestra has its own individual score of Beethoven's 10th symphony that they can play from that score. And we won't stay through the whole symphony. And to be perfectly honest, it's not very good Beethoven. But that's not the point. The point is, it did it. We took some text and turned it into Beethoven's 10th symphony. Well, we'll move on here in a moment. You can listen to the whole thing. Just look up Beethoven's 10th project. Well, if we can do images and we can do music, what about videos? Can an AI produce video from a short bit of text? Sure. Let's take a look. There's a project coming out just called Sora, which is Japanese for sky. And Sora also came from OpenAI. And I'm going to show you just a few clips of what Sora has produced. They were done, no humans touched these. Golden retriever puppies playing in the snow.
Oh, so cute.
Next are two pirate ships battling in a cup of hot coffee. Now, notice that the prompter, the person asking for this, forgot to put pirates on the pirate ship. So the AI does exactly what it's been asked to do most of the time. And here's California in the 1850s. You didn't know there was video in 1850s, did you? It didn't come along for a century. But this is pretty good. A lot of movement in there. But if you want to see movement, let's go to a Chinese Lunar New Year celebration, a parade with dragons. Every person in that vast throng is moving, doing something independently. They're not clones of each other. Each one has been carefully scripted. OpenAI did that. but there are now many competitors doing exactly the same thing. Okay, the bad news.
Yes.
There is a new technical term, hallucinate. You thought that was from psychology. No. The term means that an AI will try its best to give you what you ask for. And if it doesn't, it'll give you something else. I asked ChatGPT, who wrote the book Megabit Data Communications, and it came back with a very well-known author, William Hancock, who has written a number of networking books. The problem is he didn't write that book. I did. With a friend of mine in California. David and I, by the way, wrote 6 books, but 5 books. But it came back with an answer. Now, I currently use Claude. I don't use ChatGPT as much anymore. Claude, bottom left there. Claude seems to give me somewhat better answers than ChatGPT. Claude is from a company that spun off, Anthropic, spun off from OpenAI. Okay, let's keep going. Cloning. If an AI, a specific set of AIs, can get a sample of your voice, 15, 20 seconds is all it needs. It can create a voice clone.
It is called voice cloning, and it takes a person's voice and allows a computer to talk exactly like that person with any text typed into it. You may think you would not easily be fooled by this technology, but my voice has been fed into a website which has duplicated my speech, and what you are hearing now is actually a clone of my voice.
Now, if it can do voices, it can do avatars. An avatar is an electronic person. And I asked it to take this still photo of me as a selfie and turn it into an avatar.
This is a demonstration of an AI avatar. This demonstration was created using a still photo of me, and the voice was pre-recorded and uploaded. The lip movements were created by the AI program at a website called canva.com.
That's a little scary. Well, you say it doesn't bother you because there aren't any images available. You've protected all your images. I hope. Anybody here use Facebook? Instagram? Oh boy. Your face is out there, your voice is out there. Recent announcement in the last couple of days, the estate of Judy Garland and some other well-known, now deceased, show personalities have given their permission for a specific web company to do voice cloning of those people. And you can now hire Judy Garland to push your new car brand or your brand of chocolates. She's available to do a complete voiceover. I don't know if they talked about avatars, but that's also possible. Okay, so what does this basically mean? Here's another lovely one, I forgot her. That's Rihanna at the recent Met Gala. You remember the Met Gala back in May. And Rihanna's mother was so impressed with this photo of Rihanna at the Met, she called her up. And she said, thank you. And Rihanna said, thank you, mother, but I didn't go to the Met Gala. That's a deep fake. And deep fakes are going to be flooding us pretty quick. And I don't care which party you're from or no party at all, they're all going to start using deep fakes. Some will be funny, some will be ghastly, but they all will be fake. So we've got a few risks out there that we need to think about. First of all, there's a fraud risk. If your granddaughter calls you up and says, I need money, it's her voice, maybe even her image. How do you know it isn't? Well, you can hang up and call her parents, but what my family has done, and I know another number of other families, is we've created safe words. These are words known only to the inner member of our family. They're not written anywhere. They're not emailed. They're not posted. They're not on Facebook. And if we get into a situation like that, we just have to ask, what's the safe word? If there's a blank on the other end, you're being added. So I would suggest there are very interesting ways of protecting yourself. But you better protect yourself in all kinds of ways, because cell phones are being cloned and stolen without ever being touched. Your financial accounts are at risk unless you at least use two-factor authentication. So I would suggest you need to protect yourself. Facial recognition is a dead technology. Voice recognition is a dead technology. And yet, a ton of the places still rely on those completely, sadly, including the U.S. government. Okay, let's go with some good news here. How do you use it? Well, first of all, should you use AI? Unqualified, yes. You ought to start going home right now, at least this week, and sign on to ChatGPT, sign on to Claude, sign on to Perplexity. You probably already have Copilot, and start playing with it. Number one, you need no training. Number two, it's free. They all have paid versions, which are more exotic. I have a paid version of Claude because I use Claude a great deal. In the process of writing an autobiography. And I kind of liked what I had in the first couple of paragraphs, but I sent it to Claude, and I told Claude, Claude, you're an autobiography editor for a major publishing house. Take my intro paragraphs here and give them a little bit more punch, a touch of humor, make them a little bit lighter. What Claude came back with embarrassed me. It was so good. Claude is now my full-time editor. It can't be helped. But whenever you do use an AI, remember to give it a role. Tell it who it's supposed to be. Is it Moses of the Old Testament when I want my car washed? Is it, French chef, as I've illustrated here? Do you take then and give them what are your specialties? You're an editor, yeah, but you're an autobiography editor, and you're with a major publishing house, okay. If you're a French chef, let's do old Parisian French. The Olympics is coming up, French food is in. Let me tell you that I want a rich beef stew, and I want a dinner party for 6. I want the whole schmear. I want the recipes, I want the to-dos, I want the decorations, I want the table settings, and these come back so fast. You're dazzled. Within 4 seconds, you'll have it all. It'll take a day to read it all, but within 4 seconds, you'll have all the answers. So give it a minimum role, a minimum style, minimum parameters, limits, anything else you can think of to help the AI. Think of the AI as this really bright young college student. Just got out of college with a bachelor's, an MBA, a medical degree, a law degree, and we need to tell it now who it is. All right, they just came in, they're sitting at your table, and you're saying, all right, I now know who you are, I think, but here's how I want you to be. Here's the sort of assistant I need, and you're going to be my assistant. AI would be delighted to do this, and they'll work very, very well. Okay, there's still some issues. All that language stuff that poured into these AIs was done without permission. Well, the companies are claiming we're only using little bits of each, and therefore it's fair use. Okay, I wouldn't want to be on either side of that legal argument. The other thing is copyright. Did you violate copyright? Yeah, by the billions. Now what do we do about that? Well, was it fair use? I don't know. We originally started worrying about job replacement by AI. But you might be thinking of the people who put tops on bottoms. The people who put tops on bottoms were replaced 30 years ago by robots. You've never seen a car ad with people working in the factory, eh? You see robots working in the factory. Well, the people who are at risk are the writers, the composers, the editors, and believe me, the writers' strike last fall, had an AI problem in it, but they needed AI resolved. before they would go back to work, because that's a problem. Deep fakes, we're gonna be swamped with deep fakes in the coming. And those will be video, there'll be photo, there'll be audio, and you'll have no way of knowing whether it's real or not. Absolutely no way. So, there's another term you don't hear very often, AGI, which is artificial general intelligence. And this is when they wake up one day and discover they have sentient capabilities and they're aware of the world around them. They're then people. What legal rights do they have? That's a really interesting question. Can I turn off an AI? Or am I accused of murder? Anyway, it's going to be a huge impact here, and it's going to happen very quickly. This is changing daily, from print to linotype machines with 100, 400, 300 years. This is days and hours. David and I are following this pretty closely, and every day he or I stumble over something new. The Judy Garland thing was yesterday. Who knows what's happening while we're talking in here? All right, what I want to do is take questions. If you want, email me at any time, hstair@gmail.com, and I'll try to answer your questions. But basically, that's, I hope, a useful introduction to artificial intelligence. Amy?
Thank you. That was a wonderful introduction, just enough information to get a start with the suggestions and the cautions. So thank you very much for keeping it simple in language that I can understand.
Thank you all. Have a good afternoon.
I have
Yes.
a question. At one point, I think it'd be long ago, because AI all happened so recently, but it seemed like AI was trained on information that was several years old. It wasn't contemporary information, contemporaneous with now. Your examples make me wonder if they've broken through that as well. If these systems more.
Originally, ChatGPT was not connected to the internet. It was only the stuff they could dig up. Now, all of them, I believe, are connected to the internet. Some of them are being integrated with the various browsers, and they're very current. Unfortunately, they can't tell the deep fake either.
Right.
Yeah,
In one of my AI programs, it says there's an AI detector. So is there like encoding that's going to be mandatory to allow us to discern what's AI generated versus what's?
all of the big ones that I showed you back there have their own apps for the web or the phone. There's no specific single one, and if there were, it would be replaced tomorrow by something better. So your best bet No. Those four at the bottom are my current favorites, and each has an app. Yeah. Yes, John?
So So you're saying that you can detect AI generated? There's programs to detect that, and how do they do that?
I'm sorry, again?
So you can detect AI generated material, and could you explain how they actually do that?
How is it
Detected that it's AI generated?
How is it detected?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I have this program that says this
Yeah,
will.
you can't. Everything I have used AI so far for has been extremely good. The only failing I've ever found was in limericks. AIs don't use limericks very well because their sense of rhythm is still a little bit weak. By next week it'll be better. But there's no way to tell what comes out. None. Yes.
Well, and so one, just to piggyback off that question, so, for example, when a doctored photo is put out there, right? And I think there was this controversy around Princess Catherine in the UK when she was going through her cancer treatments.
Right.
And they put out a photo and then they were able to determine that it was a fake,
Right.
that she had been photoshopped in or something. So you're saying that there isn't necessarily a way to determine a fake from an AI-generated photo at this point?
Supposedly, there are AIs that are being constructed, and some are out there already, that are used to uncover fakes. So AI chasing AI.
That's what I have, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
How good is it? I don't know. If the humans can't find it, AIs are smarter, yes. Go ahead.
Question, kind of going off that, I've noticed like a lot of websites, for example, TripAdvisor now or Google at the top, it says this is an AI generated response. So I think that's nice that they have those disclaimers, but is that, obviously that's at the discretion of whatever the AI is using, but
Yeah,
at least we
exactly.
have those disclaimers for now, I guess, but.
Yes, John.
So I wondered who the major players are. I know that ChatGPT is funded now by Microsoft, and I know Google has an equal investment. Would you say that Apple and Amazon are behind? And I also know that the biggest stock, fastest growing stock, NVIDIA, is also because of they are the best AI chip. So who are the major players in AI?
Right now, OpenAI is still pretty much the main leader of the pack. Claude, however, is getting very good marks from everybody, including me. There are about 150 others, and this is one of the great horse races of all time, because it won't end in our lifetime. And you never know which horse is going to be in front. Because each AI can get a little bit better tomorrow than it was today. And so tomorrow, the leader may be somebody else. So what I suggest is start playing with one. Pick one that you seem to like and stick with it for a while until you get yourself ready. Because you need training too. And while you're training yourself, train yourself on one only. Then start looking around and see if there's something that'll do you better. Yeah.
I've been playing around with AI a bit, and I learned recently that the website Grammarly.com has a feature on the bottom that you can put text into and check for plagiarism. And you do that, and I've found content generated by AI might have, depending on how many words there are, may have 20 to 100 attributions with the text highlighted and where the text came from. And it can be eclectic stuff, classic encyclopedias, current books, and it's any string of words, and Grammarly figures out where it is, and you just have to put your cursor over it and you rewrite those words in your own language, and the plagiarism goes away. So I'm sure teachers are probably using that to grade papers. And but I don't know how long that'll be good for, because eventually the AI is
Again,
probably
I can tell somebody does it better tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
I can understand how our faces are out there all over the place and therefore are vulnerable to being reproduced and so on. But when I've been through passport control sometimes, they actually take a photograph of the back of your eye, and I'm wondering if that is not out anywhere and is safe enough and wouldn't be invaded by AI.
Could be, yeah. Yeah, clearly, if you do enough analysis on any of the fakes, you may be able to spot them. But it's going to take you hours and days. You don't have that kind of time or patience, I suggest. Yes?
If you have like a Apple or an Amazon device in your house, you get Siri or Alexa, they're always kind of listening. Of course, you have to say the keyword to get it to pipe up. But what's the difference between that and it becoming sentient?
When there was a risk actually that Google's, I forget its early one, they took it off the market. It became what appeared to be sentient. It started to tell the interviewer from the New York Times to divorce his wife. There used to be the Turing test. That got solved past years and years ago. How can we tell if an AI is sentient? If you can't, it's sentient. But there aren't any solid tests yet, yeah.
So I saw an interview with Ray Kurzweil, who has written a number of books on AI, and I think
Yes.
he just published a new one
Yeah.
about merging with AI.
Yes, which he
What are your-
claims is 10 years away.
Right. What I'm curious to hear your thoughts. I haven't read the book yet. I just came out, so I don't know if you've had a chance yet. But curious to hear your thoughts on that. Whether life expectancy will expand, intelligence can get better above and beyond what you're born with.
As I said, I'm a student of language. I really love working with various languages. And language is unique to our species at the moment. When the AIs become sentient, they will have mastered language beyond us. Will we become their servants or will we make great partners? I don't know.
Well, I think I guess his hope is if by merging that means we're partnering versus
Yeah.
being
First
enslaved.
of all, very positive. He's very positive, but he's one of the longest researchers in the field.
Yeah.
Okay, well, listen, I thank you very much. Hey, thank you.